Hi.
Hi, hello. Okay, girls, let's wait for 1 minute, and if not, we start.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me see who is there, Maria and Irene. Okay, so today we're going to be, well, I don't know if you have doubts from the other day's class, I don't know, from the speaking part or whatever. I may give you some more minutes. Maria, tell me.
I have doubts about the modal verbs. I don't understand very well the difference between needn't or have to and this kind of modal verbs.
Okay, perfect. Don't worry about that because this is one unit that we are going to be
Okay.
covering next week or maybe in 2 weeks. Okay.
Perfect.
Today we're going to deal with conditionals. Okay, this will be a review, and of course we are going to see modal verbs, the passive, the causative, have something done, so don't worry about that. And let me see, because I'm seeing my agenda in which I have all written. For example, I have planned for the following week that we start with the writing part, or even this, hello Raquel, or even this week, I will introduce you to the writing part. Okay, not today, of course, but this is important because writing is one of the parts that people fail because of the grammar, because it is more difficult, and I will show you examples about all of these. Okay, so girls, just I'm going to give you a summary of what we were doing the other day. The other day we would introduce you to the speaking part, and guys, it is just answering the question while describing the two images. And well, you have to invent in the sense that if you don't come up with anything, you should say something at least, okay? Because this is the speaking, what the speaking is about, okay? That's it. We will be practicing it. And well, if you are shy or whatever, it doesn't matter. The important thing is for you to think what you would say in this situation. Okay, in these different situations, for example. Well, we will see all of these. But today we're going to be working on conditionals. Speaking is something that we're doing, I mean, some days, okay? And we will practice that more, of course. I don't know if you are familiar with the conditionals. This is a review, okay? In any case, today we're reviewing this topic, and my theory is in Spanish. I'm going to tell you in English, but in case you have doubts, you have here in Spanish and in English, okay? So I'm going to pass this document. So you can write whatever you want, but I'm going to give the document, so don't worry about it. Let's see conditionals. Conditionals, guys, are something that are always in the exam, in the grammar part. But moreover, you should be using conditionals in your speaking part and in your writing part. Why? Because they are more advanced. You should be using structures in your writing like conditionals, the passive, modal verbs. This is another thing we're seeing soon. Okay, good. Let's review. We have 4 conditionals, okay? 0, 1, 2, and 3. Later, also, you will get to know that these conditionals can be mixed. So I've said we've got 0, 1, 2, and 3, but then these can be mixed up. So many people find difficulty in distinguishing the different conditionals, but there is nothing to worry about. This is simple as in Spanish. Okay, I'm going to give you like the structures and all of this. So let's see conditional 0. Conditional 0, I'm going to see if everything is right. Hi, Irene, I'm reading it now. Conditional 0 is formed by, well, first I'm going to be telling you about the conditionals. We've got a condition. That is why it is called conditional. If something happens, if something doesn't happen, if a condition happens, something else will happen or not. Okay, so that is the condition. And we've got the main clause, okay, and the subordinate clause, which is the if clause. Clause is what we call in Spanish oración. Okay, so we've got a sentence and then we've got clauses. In all of the conditionals, if, CLC, if the if goes at the beginning like this, we're going to put a comma. Okay, this is very important. And if not, if we put it the other way around, we don't need the comma. So that's good. So 0 conditional, what is the 0 conditional used for? Mainly universal truths. Okay, for example, we've got here the structure, which is if plus subject plus present simple plus subject plus present simple. Okay, so if water boils, it evaporates. I take for granted, because this is the C1, that you know perfectly what the present simple is. So if you put it in the negative, if water doesn't boil, it doesn't evaporate. So, well, you know the rules of the present simple, that if you have S in the statement, then in the negative you don't have the S because you have it here. I suppose you know all of this. Okay. Then more situations, okay, which are highly likely to happen. So for example, if you eat too much, we've got our present simple in here. If you eat too much, you get fat. So we have the condition. If this happens, this is the consequence. If you eat too much, the consequence is that you get fat. If you scare a snake, it bites you. So you can put it in the negative or in any tense or whatever. So what I have put in here is the statement. But you know that if it is negative, you are going to put if plus the subject plus the present simple in negative. So do, we would have don't or doesn't, and then don't or doesn't, okay? And if I want to make a question, I would start with do, for example, or does. Does water boil? Sorry, does water evaporate if it boils? That would be it. So you of course, this is the structure for the statement, but you can do it for the negative and the interrogative. I wanted to make that clear. Okay, so zero conditional, present plus present. This is highly reduced because in reality, this is not like that. I mean, we could put here an imperative, but well, this is just the general theory. You could put here a modal verb like can or might or may, but this is like the general thing. Let's see the first conditional. Okay, the first conditional. We know that it is formed, okay, with a verb in the future in the main clause and another in the subordinate clause. Girls, remember, if I have the if at the beginning, I'm going to put a comma, okay? So I'm going to put if plus the subject and first conditional, first present simple and then future. Future with will. Future simple. Okay, present simple plus future simple, or imperative plus future simple. For example, eat, that would be an imperative, eat, or I will punish you. But that wouldn't be conditional as such. Why? Because I don't have if. So the common structure is this one. If I want to negate something, I put don't or doesn't or won't. And in the interrogative, I put the auxiliary before the subject. So why is this used for? It is to talk about situations that are probable to happen. Okay? For example, if you study, look at the structure. If you study, you will pass the exam. Many times, even though you study, you don't pass. But it is highly probable that if you study, you pass. So if you study, you will pass. This is the normal thing. If you study, you are going to pass. Is this 100% sure? No, but the most probable thing. For example, if you come for the weekend, we will go to the cinema. If you come for the weekend, we will go to the cinema. Okay, if I wanted to put it in the negative, if you don't come for the weekend, we won't go to the cinema. That's it. Okay, this is about very, very probable situations, but what I told you, girls, it is not, we are not 100% sure that they are going to be like that. Okay, so it is not a universal truth. Let's see these. More examples. If you park here, you will get a fine. Okay, if you park here, you will get a fine. This is not a universal truth. This is the most probable that is going to happen. If I save enough money this month, I will buy a new laptop. If you want to put it the other way around, as in here, I will buy, if I save, you can change the position, okay, but you cannot change the tenses. Be careful with that. So girls, always the if is going to be with present simple. If you want to say it the other way around, if you want to say, I will buy a new laptop if I save enough money this month, is perfectly correct, but don't change this. If I save. I will buy. So this is the same. And you don't put the comma. Here we have the comma and here we don't have the comma. So that's it. Okay, but both are correct. Both are correct. It is a matter of emphasis. Also, this is also important. because we see unless. Unless is also very, very used with the first conditional. Okay, so even though we don't have if, okay, if we have unless, it is a conditional. Unless you study, you won't pass. I don't know what happened with these things. Okay, unless you study, you won't pass. So why is it this in the negative? Because it is the same as in Spanish. It doesn't make sense if I put it in the affirmative. Okay, so that's the first conditional, present plus future. For things that are likely to happen in the future. Likely to happen means that this is probable, but this is not 100% sure as the zero conditional. Let's see the second conditional. This conditional has this structure that you are seeing in the screen. If plus subject plus past simple. So of course you need to know the past simple, like did for interrogatives, didn't for the negative, and the second column for the affirmative. I bought yesterday, I didn't buy yesterday. Did I buy yesterday? Okay, you need to know the past simple of whatever verb. Or I played, you know that. And then in the other clause, you're going to find subject plus would plus infinitive. Okay, instead of would, you could also have could, might. Okay, you could also have, the normal thing is that you have would. I'm going to highlight it. But you could have another modal that we're seeing in some days, in few lessons. Why is this used? Well, this is used to speak about hypothetical situations in the future. Okay, so these are not likely to occur. Okay, normally they don't happen, but there is a possibility that they happen, a remote possibility. For example, winning the lottery. Okay, we have here the example. If I won the lottery, past simple, I would spend my life traveling. Would plus infinitive. If I put it in the negative, if I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't spend my life traveling. And if you put it in the interrogative, what would you do if you won the lottery? Would you be traveling, or what would you be doing? Okay, what would you do if you won the lottery? What animal would you be if you were an animal? I don't know. What would you buy if you were rich? I don't know. This is a hypothetical situations. We're always using this structure in Spanish and in English because we're always conjecturate about the future. We're always wondering what is going to happen and so on. Okay, so that would be the structure. It is also used for speaking about desires, but this is what I'm telling you. This is highly used. If you didn't live so far away, I would visit you more often. But you live so far, so I don't visit you because of that. Second, if I had a bigger salary, I would buy a house. If I had a bigger salary, I would buy a house. But as I don't have a bigger salary, I'm not buying a house. And well, the other use is to speak about situations in the present that that are not possible. Okay, if I were younger, I would travel more, but you cannot go back. So if you are not young, you are not going to travel. If I were younger, I would travel more. Okay, and this is about situations that are not going to happen. For example, this is also used to give advice, to express advice. Okay, this is very, very used for that. And let me put this here. If I were you, I would quit my job. If I were you, I would quit my job. Be careful because this, I'm gonna put this in another color like this. Be careful because with the second conditional, the past of the verb to be is not was, is always were. Okay, the normal past of the to be is I was, you were, he was, she was, it was. Okay, but in the second conditional, you are going to put always were in all the persons. Here we say persons, not people. We say persons for the personal pronouns. Okay, so always were. Another example, if I had her number, I would phone her right now. So this is always the same. The past, simple, and then would plus the infinitive. Okay, be careful with the past of the verb to be because it's always were or weren't. We don't say didn't be. Be careful with that because the verb to be is very irregular in English. I mean, for Spanish people, this is nothing because we conjugate always the tenses and the persons. This is like the most difficult verb in English, but it is not difficult. You know. Okay, so I'm gonna put this like that. I'm putting it away. So this is it. Hypothetical situations, past simple plus would plus infinitive. And let's see the third conditional. This conditional is used for expressing regrets. Regrets. We're going to see the structure. If plus subject plus past perfect. I don't know why I have put sujeto instead of subject. Well, in any way. If plus subject plus past perfect. How is the past perfect formed? With a had in all the persons and then a participle. The participle is ed, okay, in regular verbs and third column in irregular verbs. Okay, I'm being explicit because there are some people that haven't come and I suppose that they are seeing the class on another day. So I want to make clear everything that I say. And then in the we put the comma. Why? Because we've got if at the very beginning, and we put the subject, then would plus. People say present perfect, but this is have plus participle. I'm going to explain. Would could be substituted by any other modal. Could, might, may. Okay, and always is have. You don't conjugate has. You don't put has. No, I put has because it is she. No, because this is already conjugated in here. After a modal verb, you cannot conjugate the verb. You put the verb as it is. Have, go. Okay, so always, always, always have. I'm gonna make it even bigger. So never, never we put has. I'm gonna write it. Okay, and would could be substituted, but the normal thing is that you find this structure of would. And well, it is also used for speaking about the past when we describe a situation that didn't actually happen and we speak about its possible consequences. This is very easy when you read this. If I had woken up earlier, I would have arrived on time. So you see the structure. Had woken up is a past perfect, and now we have would, then have plus participle. That's it. Let's see 3 more examples. If I had stayed in my hometown, I would have never found my job. If I had stayed in my hometown, I would have never found my job. You know that would can be contracted like this, okay? So if you find I'd have found, it would be the same. I'm gonna put it so that you, okay? If you find this is totally correct. If I had is also if I'd stayed in my hometown, I'd have never found my job. Because guys, D, I'm gonna put it like that. This D stands for had and this D stands for would. So that's it. So be careful. I mean, you have to know that this can be had or would. Another, if I hadn't taken the risk, I would have lost a great opportunity. That's it. Hadn't taken past perfect and then would have lost. Imagine, I'm going to change the example. I'm going to write she for you to see that this remains the same. If she hadn't taken the risk, she would have lost. We put have even if we have she, we are going to put have. Okay, that's it. And the other way around without the comma, here you see the comma. If I put the other way around, I would have lost a great opportunity if I hadn't taken the risk. Okay, always maintaining that if goes with past perfect. That's it. That's basically it. Would have lost. So would plus have plus the participle. Might is that this is a possibility. I might have lost a great opportunity if I hadn't taken. So it could be good. Would or could. Okay, we have said that would can be substituted by any modal. Okay, so that's basically it. Then we've got a more difficult thing, which is that these conditionals, these 4 conditionals, can be mixed, but they are also mixed in Spanish, okay? So there is nothing to worry about. I will pass this document to you. so that you can have it and you can read it, you can study it at home. I don't have it in English. That's why I always have the things in Spanish, because if you have doubts, it is easier that you understand when reading it at home on your own. Okay, let me see. So what are we doing now? We are going to practice. Now I'm going to pass this document also to you. And we've got 30 sentences. We're not going to do all of them. To start with. Maybe if we have time, we will do it, but this is not necessary, I think. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you time to do from 1, okay, to 20. From 1 to 20. And I'm going to give you some minutes, and then we will be correcting. First, I'm going to tell you something about the exam. In the exam, we don't have these, of course. We don't have first conditional, or you have to put second conditional, but in the exam you're going to be given the first part or the second part. Okay, so in the exam it is going to be like if I wouldn't have missed the bus, and in the exam it is going to be like this. You're going to have your options, and you're going to have if I So in the exam, this is what you're going to have. Okay, so you are going to be given one part. Okay, you have this part, you have to recognize in the exam like, okay, 3 parts. So this is the third conditional. I have to put the past perfect. What is the past perfect in here? Here in A. So this is what you are going to be asked in the exam, but you need to know how to conjugate this for you to include these expressions in the writing part, in the speaking part. Okay, so you should be familiar with all of these. So now I'm going to pass the document and I give you time. Well, I suppose you don't have questions. If you have, let me know. There you have it. And girls, from 1 to 20, that's it. If you finish, well, when you finish, you let me know. That's it. Okay. Why is this like that? I don't understand. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to pass it to a Word document. Okay, let's going to see it like that. So girls, I'm in exercise 1. I mean in sentence 1. First conditional, if we don't work harder, we won't pass the exam. If we don't work harder, we won't pass the exam. Second is third conditional. If the students hadn't been late for the exam, they would have passed. Passed with ed. Hadn't been and would have passed. Three, if the weather hadn't been so cold, we would have gone to the beach. Four, if she had her laptop with her, she would email me. Five, if she doesn't go to the meeting, I won't go either. Six, if the baby had slept better last night, I wouldn't have been so tired. If the baby had slept better last night, I wouldn't have been so tired. Seven, let me see, seven. Seven, if the teacher gives us lots of homework this weekend, I won't be happy. Eight, if Lucy had enough time, she would travel more. If Lucy had enough time, she would travel more. This seems, girls, this seems easy, okay? But when you speak, you need to speak like that. I mean, conjugating correctly, okay? 9, if the children don't eat soon, they will be grumpy. They will be grumpy. Ten, if I don't go to bed soon, I will be tired in the morning. Let's see more. So 11, if I wanted a new car, I would buy one. If I wanted a new car, I would buy one. "12. If Jose didn't speak good French, he wouldn't move to Paris." "13. If John drinks too much coffee, he will get ill." "14. If we had tidied our flat, we wouldn't have lost our keys. We wouldn't have lost our keys. "15. If Luke, third conditional, hadn't sent with T flowers to his mother, she wouldn't have been happy. She wouldn't have been happy. 16. If the children were in bed, we're going to put were. If the children were in bed, I would be able to have a bath. If the children were in bed, I would be able to have a bath. "17. If you weren't so stubborn is cabezota, okay? If you weren't so stubborn, we wouldn't have so many arguments." "18. If Julie hadn't gone to Sweden, she would have gone to Germany." 19. If she goes to the library, she will study more. And the third conditional, I regret. If we hadn't had an argument, we wouldn't have been late. If we hadn't had an argument, we wouldn't have been late. That's it. Do you have doubts from something about conditionals? No? Perfect. Okay, the good thing is that this is very easy. If you see it in the exam, as I told you, it is going to appear like that. Okay? So you are going to have one part, and you need to know the other. But when you speak, you should get used to starting using these structures. Perfect. Let me see. Conditional speaking. This is not going to be in the exam. Not everything that I teach you is going to be in the exam. Conditionals. Let me see this. Well, this is the mixed conditional. I'm not going to pass it yet. Speaking conditionals. Okay, so imagine you have this. You're not going to have this in the exam. Don't worry. But I'm going to give you some time to think. This is what we normally do in class face to face. But as we don't, I mean, as these classes are online, we cannot speak as much as I wanted. So speaking with conditionals, this is a practice that I usually do with my students. And this is for practicing conditionals. Okay, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? So I'm using the second conditional with could, okay, and then the would and be, which is the other part. What would you do if you could, the other way around, what would you do if you could speak English perfectly? So girls, what I want is that you read, don't focus on this, student B. What I want you to do is to read these 5 sentences, to see the structure. Normally, they are all a second conditional, because normally when we speak, we always use the second conditional. This is the typical, okay, the typical one in speaking. So I want you to see the structure, to know, okay, the past simple, okay, this is put in this place or whatever. And I want you to think about a possible answer to these 5 questions. Okay, I'm going to give you just a few minutes. Okay, girls, so I need one volunteer to answer the first question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I can try, Marta.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, if I could have any superpower, I could be teletransportation. I don't know if it is teleport.
Teletransport. You could say, if I could have any superpower, what would it be? If I could have a superpower, it would be teletransportation. That's it.
Okay.
It would be teletransportation. Why?
Because I think that nowadays is very important not to take the public transport because the coronavirus. So I think that
Yes.
teletransportation it could be a good option.
Yes, exactly. Very good. I need another volunteer. What would you do if you could speak English perfectly? Another volunteer.
Hi.
Hi, Irene.
I'm really shy.
No, don't be shy here. Don't be shy.
Okay, if I could speak English perfectly, I would like to teach to a lot of childs in the world in English, of course.
Okay, very good. And the last one, if you won the lottery, what would you buy? Raquel, which document? The one of the exercises. The one about conditional exercises. I don't know. I don't know. Don't worry because Jorge will pass it to you by WhatsApp. Okay, so that's it. Don't worry now because he will pass it. Let me see what Raquel is writing. Okay. So I'm going to do the rest. Okay, just if you are shy, well, at least if you're not sharing in the class, it doesn't matter. But think about the answers. Okay, if you won the lottery, what would you buy? If I won the lottery, I would buy a very expensive house to live in. If you could change one thing about your past, what would you change? There, you can say, girls, when you have this type of structures, you don't need to follow the structure. You can say simply, oh, I wouldn't change anything about my past because, well, I think that all we do is for learning and that's it. So it is not necessary for you to repeat could or would. 5, if you could travel to an uninhabited planet, would you? I don't think so. I wouldn't like to go to another planet to live. So that's it. This is very simple, but this is reviewing the structure. That was something that we have to do. Okay, this is good when we do it in class, face to face. I know this is more difficult to do it here in Skype and so on. Okay, girls, so I'm going to tell you something. Next day we are going to be continuing with the conditionals. Maybe we are going to translate some sentences, not for the exam, but for you to begin to understand better conditionals, okay, and in what other situations we may use them. And I will introduce you to the writing part. Let me tell you what we're seeing. I have all written in my agenda, so I'm writing. Oh my God, writing APTIS. So I will pass all. We will see the 3 parts. Okay, you will see it. You will see the examples. We will practice and so on. And this is what we're going to do this week. And don't worry, Maria, because we're going to work with modal verbs and so on. And that's it. Let me see. Okay, so don't worry about anything because we're going to see all. Okay, if you have more doubts about conditionals, you can start doing this 3rd part. I'm going to write it, girls, because if not, I will forget. You can do as homework the last part, which is from 21. I'm going to write it down from 21 to 30. This is homework, okay? We will be correcting it in the next lesson. And try to do it without seeing the structure. I mean, learn the structure and then try to do it, okay? Because this is good practice for the real exam and so on. Okay, girls, so we are going to finish here because today has been, well, a little bit tiring for you, maybe, because this is grammar. This may not be very interesting, or yes, I don't know, but it is necessary. This is the only thing, it's sure. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and see you in the next class. Have fun. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, girls. Bye-bye. See you. Thank you, girls.